Use the couch here. Yeah? All right. Welcome back from lunch. As the big voice person said, I'm George Svagera, VP of Business Development, Southwest region at Orion. This is a guy I met at breakfast, so I thought I'd bring him up here and help me present. No, this is Todd Bertucci. He's our VP of Business Development for institutional sales. So he's dealing mainly with large national RIAs, independent broker-dealers, helping them with enterprise solutions at Orion. So thought it'd be good for him to join us. And today we're talking adoption tactics. And we feel at Orion there's really no better way to increase adoption among people in your offices, amongst your clients, than through the power of integration. So we're going to spend the next 20-25 minutes just talking about how powerful integration can be, what you should look for when you're looking at your different technology stack, and how those solutions should work together. So see if this
Absolutely, and I didn't realize that we were going to get the white couches brought out for our presentation, so
we're taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, full advantage of that. We even brought the water for props.
I might take my shoes off, actually.
Yeah.
No,
it's probably be a good idea.
Yeah,
probably a good idea. Well, we're happy to be here. LaserApp's done a nice job once again of bringing together technology partners, great firms like yourself. I was just in the back, and I realized this was the 20th year of LaserApp. So congratulations there, guys, of delivering solutions. We are happy to be a partner here again and talking about adoption tactics. I'm sure when you looked at this, thinking power integration on the agenda, you saw the adoption tactics and wonder why we're talking about integration. But what George said is absolutely right. We believe that rather than adoption tactics, putting in place an adoption strategy for your technology, right? So tactical, maybe doing things one-off here, worth a strategy, you have a vision of what you're going to be putting together. And by creating that vision through integration, you definitely are going to increase adoption amongst the firms you're working with, as well as those advisors and their clients. So today, we're really going to talk about 4 things and how to help you create that strategy and relate it all back to the adoption. So first and foremost, creating efficiency across that platform. This is what integration, the power of integration. Bringing together multiple different systems. I think as you look through the sponsors that are here or the technology landscape that's out there, there's a lot of different options for you and your advisors to choose from, right? So you need to take the time to think, how can we put those together? So we're going to talk about open APIs and web services and data calls and all this tech lingo today and put that into simplistic terms so you can kind of learn, hey, how do we do this and where do we go to get this stuff? Providing advisors choice, we're going to talk about the choices that they have today, right? And creating a best-in-breed technology. So providing choice is fantastic as long as you keep it pretty simple, right? Don't overwhelm them and you get analysis by paralysis. Helping increase adoption across your staff, so we can also, through integration, you're going to see, a lot of times you'll see there's going to be multiple entry going on across different systems. So we're going to talk about this. I would imagine you're seeing that today, touching the data a lot. So by creating this efficiency across multiple platforms, you're going to help increase adoption there. And then overall, we talked about providing the long-term flexibility for your technology vision. So what does that mean? Providing a long-term flexibility. If we're utilizing one system, right, one system and no other systems, then more than likely you're going to be locked into what that system is going to provide long-term for you. And you're not going to have much flexibility. So again, by creating multiple partners, leveraging multiple different systems, you can provide flexibility for your 5-10-year vision.
All right, before we go into that, I want to touch on a little bit of what integration is. And really at its most simplest form, integration is data shared between 2 companies, resulting in greater efficiencies and the elimination of redundant processes for financial advisors who use compatible software programs. So basically the main programs or main technologies that you're using talking well to each other. And I'll tell you what a better thing to describe is maybe what integration isn't. And integration isn't a computer that's in the corner of the office that has a program loaded onto it that only Nancy knows how to pull information out of, so we have to ask her every time we need a report or need to look up information on the client's account. So, that's a big thing, and there's probably advisors in this room that are guilty of that, having applications loaded onto a computer that might not even be, connected to the internet, frankly. And so that information lives there. If the computer crashes, if someone's out sick, a lot of the productivity and access to information ceases to exist.
Yeah. How many times have you walked into an advisor office and they're running Excel spreadsheets over here, they have an Access database that their kid built over here, and they're trying to put it all together, right? And that's pretty common to see. We've been in the technology business for 15 years, and we see that every day when we walk into advisors' offices.
Right. So this is just a visual there. So locally installed apps on a computer, you have your firewall, financial planning, maybe as an example, is in the cloud. Getting those two to talk is really impossible. And if that computer's offline, if it's turned off, there's really no communication between maybe two of your most critical systems inside your office. So the easiest way and the way that we see everyone integrating today, this is pretty obvious, is everything is really going to a cloud-based solution. Everything's in the cloud, data is held on servers for your providers. Everything's talking back and forth through the connection, over the web. So they're able to, talk throughout the day, 24/7, and share information back and forth.
So I think you need to ask yourself, why is integration important? And I think you need to sit back if you're thinking through this as we're talking on what applications you're using today, or your firm's using today. Not only just you internally, but the advisors and what they have. You've got to think about, from an importance standpoint, how can we eliminate multiple instances of manual data? CRMs, custodial platforms, financial planning tools, portfolio management systems like Orion. You're probably keying in there's multiple touches of that data. And we all know if you're in operations, I've been there, done that, and when my team was having multiple points of integration, of data entry, there was a lot more room for error. So you're definitely going to eliminate error by integrating these technologies, right? And by doing so, as we look at the simplicity, it's a more consistent user experience for your internal staff and the advisors. So if they're entering data in one place and it's talking to multiple other different locations, they don't have to wonder where I need to go in this application, use this login. It's all going to be a consistent user interface for them. And then we talk about profitability. And I think everybody gets in this business to help clients, but ultimately we make a living, right? And so if you can implement technology to become more cost effective, right, whatever that may be, it's definitely going to allow you to spend more time with advisors, and your advisors spending more time with their clients. And we all know if we can gather assets and bring that to the table, definitely when we relate it back to adoption, that's one of probably the biggest drivers that you'll see is profitability, right? Making it more profitable and cost effective. So that's one thing as you're looking at things to think about. These are three things that we feel are very important. So we'll talk about that. We've run some studies. We've seen some studies in the past, and this is just a quick slide in talking about that. So firms that have some sort of integration make about 20% more income than those that lack integration, right? So if you're talking to an advisor and say, hey, what are you doing here? How much time are you spending your clients? How much time are you looking at implementing systems? Hey, here's some studies that we've seen of how we can help you out. Spending 32% less time on operations process, though firms that lack integrations, is another big one from efficiencies of staff purposes, right? Staffing, not hiring as many people to get the same things done. So again, by bringing all of these things together, you're also eliminating the need for an expense on additional staff.
Yep. Just to give you a real-world example, talked to an advisor yesterday for about an hour. Their firm has had great success. His dad started it. He has his own book. His brother and sister also have their own book. And they're evolving from kind of how his dad started the business and what type of investments and securities that he was using to what he wants to do. He wants to be more focused. He wants to actually start going after a target market that he's had a lot of success in. But he knows he needs to overhaul really their entire technology offering both inside and outside their firm. So he's really been focused, and we had a really great conversation on, what custodian platform should I use? Obviously you were using Orion for reporting and portfolio accounting. What should I use for financial planning? What should I use for portfolio analytics and research? What should I use for document storage? All those questions came into play, and the whole thing around it was, I need to get my dad and I need to get my siblings to adopt this, and I need to make it incredibly easy for them so that they'll actually use the system and use the technologies that I put in place internally, which is going to make us more efficient and it's going to make us more consistent. On the flip side of things, my clients, I want them to go to one place. I don't want them to have to go here, go there, go to these different places online to view information. I want them to have a one-stop shop. So we talked about how everything ties together from a client perspective because they want that, and they're not going to look at it if they know they have to go to all these different places. So that was a
That's not an unusual story,
yeah.
And you probably hear it too out there when you're talking to firms. That's very common. We've been talking about this at Orion since 2012 and some of the trends. And again, a lot of tech partners in here know this and what's going on. And that's what's driving this integration. It's definitely driving simplicity, right, of bringing the applications together. So we like charts and graphs. This one's been around a long time, but this is basically saying increasing time, so adoption of this integration strategy and increasing time with your clients. Full integration, 75% more time. That's great, but what I think was very interesting is just the minimal. And when you look at just doing a couple systems and integrating them, making them more efficient, it's opened up advisors' time with their clients as well. So I like to say this a lot.
It's kind of weird, actually.
It's kind of my deal. Yeah. Point blank, simple equals sticky. When you make it easy to do business with you, your advisors make it easy to their clients to do business with them, then it becomes a sticky business, right? They're less likely to leave. So not only are you doing recruiting more advisors, you're retaining more because you're making it simple for them to adopt these technologies and bringing them all together. And we use an example quite often because it's been around for what, George, now? I mean, Orbitz, Expedia, Priceline, you guys have seen these. I mean, how many of you that have used like Expedia or Orbitz, you're putting together packages, right? We all probably at one point have done that. I've got the app on my phone, so it makes it very easy for me to do that. But what have they done well? Well, we're going to talk about these APIs in just a second. But really, that's all they're doing. They're pulling data from multiple different places and putting it into one user interface to make it easy for you. So when you type in your name and your flight schedules or the hotels or the dates, all they're doing is just going and calling data from multiple different places. That's it. But we don't know that, right? Unless we really look into it and we're behind the scenes. It's really no different than what your clients should be seeing as well on the interface. And I know, George, you were talking about that earlier as we were going through this today. Not only making it easy to do business, but let's talk about branding, right?
Yeah, like if you notice on these sites, Orbitz or any of the other ones that Todd here mentioned, what's first and foremost? Orbitz or Travelocity, their branding, right? The airline, the airline provider, the hotel provider, the rental car provider, all that really takes a back seat because you're looking for the best price and you're looking for an all-in-one solution. So you're not really focused on what airline am I traveling, what hotel chain am I traveling at. So it keeps their branding first and foremost, and how that can translate, into your guys' firm when you're recruiting advisors. This is our technology that we use, and it looks as if it's your offering, but you're just leveraging all these different systems behind the scenes. To the end client, same thing. Your brand is first and foremost. They can go out there and do the research on a fund. They can look at their financial plan, all within your environment that's branded to your firm and that essentially you're kind of controlling the content of. So that's another area of this that might get overlooked, but I think is a definite important and large one.
Absolutely. So what's your center, right? If you look at what the travel website's doing, it sits at the center. That's where they're going. We like to think that the center is probably your CRM, or it should be your CRM. So if you're using our friends at Redtail, right, for instance, pulling all of that hub, the data hub into one, your portfolio management, maybe the financial planning tools, all into that CRM and that point of entry.
Paperwork.
Building your operations, your new account processes, your paper apps, all of that. A lot of the tech vendors are here. So, groups like that, and there's a lot of, I know Brian's sitting here, and so we mentioned Redtail. There's other CRMs you may be utilizing, but that, in our opinion, should be your center. And everything else should really come in the background and integrate. Because that's going to be the point of entry, more than likely, for your staff in your office. I mean, a lot of these CRMs, they have operational capabilities, right? Your advisors, you can connect all this. They're using the same, or they might be using multiple ones, but again, integrating that for them so they can enter one spot. But a matter of those CRMs, whoever you select and wherever you go, you better make sure that they can do this, that they can pull data from different places, because it's going to be important today and it's going to be important in the future. Other groups that have done that, you'll see the custodians are definitely going this open, kind of more of this open architecture. TD was definitely, I think, came to the table the earliest. The other ones have very much done this consistently and are continuing to open up. They're building solutions in to make it very easy for you, whether that's e-signature, whether that's OpenView, like OpenView Gateway, for instance, when we look at Schwab, into their application into Salesforce or others. Bob Mahoney, I know, is here, and he's speaking tomorrow from TD Ameritrade about their Veo platform, Veo One, and their dashboards, and bringing that all together from the different vendors. So there's some really cool things that the custodians are doing because we believe they get it. and they're continuing to open it up to firms like Orion to be able to help you guys build something that you need.
Yep. Just to add on to that, those integrated dashboards are key. They're really trying to bring in, like you mentioned, Veil One, bring in information from all these different sources so that you guys have the dashboards. Just, again, making you guys more efficient internally, making your advisors more efficient, having all of those systems right at your fingertips. And we're going to see it continue to evolve that to eliminate dual entry of data through systems like this that'll just go out to all your different programs and update, say, an address or an email address. It's a pretty exciting time, especially with these, just to see how everything's going to connect.
Yep. So, simply put, advisors want choice as well.
I don't think that's...
You disagree with that?
I think advisors like being told what to do and when to do it. That's not true?
Well, we know that's not true. Yeah, we know that's not true. You know that's not true. But we know that they do have choice, and you know they have choice, and a lot of them are coming to you asking for choice to have that. We see it with portfolio management systems, financial planning, a lot of options out there, analytics tools, trade order management, several different options, CRM. You probably have proprietary systems you need to bake in somewhere that you're utilizing, whether that is a trading system or you got your commissions and compliance systems, books and records, all of that. You guys are using that, advisors are using it, and they do want choice, even the custodial platforms. So ask yourself, how are we bringing that together for them? Are we providing choice? Now, I caution you on that, and we're going to tell you why, but choice is a good thing. When choice is given to a point where things work together, they work seamlessly, and you give them options, but you got to make sure you're keeping the best-in-class technologies together that are working together, and they are talking. And George is going to talk about that on the next slide, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. But we've been talking about API, George. Why don't we go ahead and explain what an API is?
Well, yeah, though these are some of the things that we think are important, that we really talk about on a regular basis when we're talking to advisors about what to look for, because we're one piece of the puzzle, but we get a lot of questions all the time from advisors. What do you recommend I use for financial planning, or what do you recommend I use for CRM, like I mentioned in the conversation I had. So these are the things we think are important. We talk a lot about open APIs, and what does API mean? As of 10:30 this morning on Wikipedia, what does it mean?
Application Programming Interface.
Yeah.
Is that one draw blank
Yeah,
on that?
yeah,
A little bit.
Application Programming Interface. So basically what it is, we have an open web API here at Orion. So basically what it is, it's the building blocks that your system is made up of. And think of it really as, these blocks or these data points that are out there on the web, that systems that talk well with each other can go out and grab these data points. So you mentioned Redtail, for example. They can go out and grab position data, up-to-date value information directly from the Orion system, because we're bringing it in from the custodian, we're reconciling it, and it goes right into their system. Money Guide Pro is another great example. They're going in and updating account values based off the information in our system, and it's all consistent across all those, and it's all done automatically, via the API integration. So that's kind of what that is, and I think those that have a very robust and a very open kind of policy or approach to their API, that's a really good thing to look out for. Open source solutions. So this is kind of taking the open API to the next level, almost, so to speak. So the best example I can think of is our client portal. A lot of firms out there want to own the client portal. We took the approach, our CEO, Eric Clark, took the approach that, hey, let's try to make the community own the portal, the RIA community own the portal, the financial industry own the portal, and let's just go completely open source with all the code on our portal. So basically, we published all of our code out on the web. Our partners can go out there, get access to it, and they can actually start manipulating that source code. Even our advisors can. So if they want to reskin our website, if they want to add, all sorts of functionality on top of what we've already done, or change what ours does, they have the complete control over that. So that's a huge one. Todd mentioned this integration into the industry-leading CRMs. I mean, we really think that the CRM should be the hub of your advisor's technology or everyone's technology, just because that's where you live, that's where all your activities tracked, and that's really where you want to track everything that you do on a daily basis, be able to access that information. And then integrate with technology provider partners that are best-in-class providers in their respective services. We talk about that all the time. Doing the due diligence, getting feedback from other advisors who have been using them, how long they've been around, what their approach is to servicing their advisors. All of those things are key. That kind of goes without saying, but sometimes can be overlooked, and we see this all the time. advisors they'll just start seeing kind of the shiny demos or the shiny toys, and they'll just start bundling technologies on top of each other that there's a lot of overlap or they just, aren't needed.
Right, the collectors of technology.
Collectors, yeah.
Yeah, that we have out there, and then it never gets implemented. And the last one up there is don't be the status quo. I think that's a big one. And when we talk about status quo, what we did 5 years ago and 10 years ago, we couldn't do today. And what you're going to be doing in 2 years or 3 years or 10 years from now, we're not going to be doing that. So if you're doing what everybody else is doing, and it's not that good, then you're going to get left behind, right? So if you're going to take a picture or you're going to be looking at a slide, don't take a picture of me up there right now, but when that slide comes back up, these are really the 5 things we think you should take away from this presentation. We have some key takeaways that we'll spell out at the end as we go through some examples. But this is one thing that we want to make sure that think through this, find the best in class, don't be the status quo.
Yeah, and I mean, just to ask a question, how many people here intend their practice to look exactly the same in 5 years or in 10 years? I mean, that's kind of the point, right? We want to be able to evolve and we want to be flexible. So our approach with, when I think of don't be the status quo is go out there, find your best and breed technologies, and if your business changed to the point where you need a different technology, you need a different research arm or a different financial planning solution, you shouldn't have to overhaul your entire technology stack just to replace that one component. You should be able to unplug it, plug a new one in, and then keep moving forward with your growth plans and your goals.
Agreed. So we have about 5 minutes left, George, so why don't we go to a couple of the other slides.
Yeah.
But these are just some examples. If you want to download, go out to our website. We have free white papers that you can grab on the APIs as well as other case studies that are being done. So if that's something you guys are interested in doing, orionadvisor.com, and you can find the white papers right there on our website. And they're nice independent pieces. We're not trying to sell anything to you. They're good takeaways. So we've talked about integrations with CRM. We're going to flip that one. But open source. So we talked about the open source, and this one's kind of neat when you look at what we've done with our code, and what we're displaying here is Money Guide Pro. And Kevin actually mentioned this earlier. I don't know if he's in here, but he mentioned displaying their widgets and their dials in other places. This is what's going on in the industry. So you've seen this is the client portal at Orion. You can get performance documents, but it kind of speaks to that adoption of clients. So they can have their financial plan, their performance reporting, their statements, their updates, their market commentary, all done in one location. Some custodians, we can even pull back the custodial statements here so they can go there for one location. Adoption. You guys all have your phones on you probably, right? I mean, we've gone crazy with mobile. Why? Because we have all of our apps in one place. We sign in, put our thumbprint in, and it's there. Same thing goes for our clients. So sometimes there's a lost thought on the end of the clients that they need to adopt the technology, but they really do for a lot of reasons, including branding. So. Yep. Open architecture, just another example of being able to bring in different apps. So what we're saying here is there's opportunity. People, we got to get out there, take a look at it. And then, again, my favorite was the status quo. Another just success story here, working with TRX, which is a trading system that you guys may be familiar with, tax-efficient trading, but being able to bring together what they couldn't 20 years ago for their clients and for their staff. Yep. And we're going to see the same thing as we continue on.
Yeah, that's a great piece on how practice can evolve and what you can do to make sure you stay on task.
So we're going to close out, and then we'll leave it for a couple minutes for questions. But these are some of the key takeaways as you walk out ahead. Remember, as creating the adoption strategy, if you will, by using the power of integration. So again, cloud-based technology, I think we've preached on that for a number of years now. Hopefully you're there. You're not sitting out with those Access databases or Excel spreadsheets. Look for partners that are open architecture, that have the ability to be flexible for you, to have that open API, as we said, we talked about earlier. So they're going to be able to talk to other applications, and you're going to give your advisors choice at the same time by doing that, and working with a technology stack that you can live with from the compliance standpoint, from simplicity and bringing together, and obviously allowing them some flexibility. Point blank, keep it simple though. Don't go too crazy. Why? Simple is sticky. And then lastly, don't be the status quo, right? Keep thinking about that. So hopefully we've given you some things to talk about, to think about, to take back to the office, to talk to advisors as you continue on thinking about the strategies that it's going to put your business at the next level in the next 3 to 5 years. And we're eager to see where that goes. So
if you guys are interested in learning more, our booth is in the lunchroom. looking all the way up and down the booths and all the providers that are here, I mean, I think there's only 3 or 4 that we don't have integrations with at Orion, and you can talk to any one of them about how all the systems work together and to try to increase that adoption and make that easier. So I'd love to talk with you.
Yeah. Any questions before we hop off these nice white couches into the sunset?
We might stay here and let
Yeah,
everyone else present.
We could just hang out.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Where do we get our data feeds from? So we get our data feeds from multiple different sources. We have about 50 different connections just direct, but some of those connections, like a DST or a BIAL, they may have additional arms out there that we can grab data from. So predominantly, the biggest sources come direct from the custodians, like Pershing, NFS, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, Fidelity. Yep.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the
Thanks,
rest of the
everybody. We
conference.
appreciate your time.